our instructors are our bread and butter. They're the heartbeat of our company. And some of our instructors, I mean, we all know they have cult-like followings.
Yes.
They go from one gym to the other, their little members go behind them, and they pack the house. And we treat them very well. Like, I'm very, very happy to have them on my team, right? But we also know that nothing is bigger than team. So we create a culture where we all bleed blue, right? We're all EOs at the end of the day, and our instructors are treated well, so they want to work for us.
We have very good data on this, and successful trainers are making a very good living, but it's not just about the programming. The successful trainers have those intangible skills, and they're able to build a clientele. If you're churning and burning clients, you're not going to make a good living as a trainer. That's a pretty simple equation. But if you're able to provide value to your clients and have them come back and back and back, that's where you make a good living, and the pay can be just fine. You can live anywhere in the world and be a successful personal trainer if you have those soft skills.
Joelle Hopkins, EVP of Group Exercise for EOS. Group exercise is something that I feel went away with the low-cost gyms. Everybody, I guess, naturally seemed to think about, well, what's the most important thing in a gym that people want, which was the gym floor. So they hacked off different parts of it. But you guys are still into group fitness in a big way, from what I can understand. So tell us where group fitness is today for your brand.
Well, right now, we are known as the innovators in the industry. We're setting trends, we're taking risks, because I think where people made the mistake, they decided that, one of three things. Either digital was going to be the way of the future and you need to go all digital, or we're going to get rid of it altogether, like you said. And then third, some of the operators were like, just stick your head in the sand. It's all going to come back to normal. Someday we're going to keep doing what we've done for the last 30 years. And all three of those were the wrong way to go about it. We knew in our gut we had to change. We had to change with the times. So like I said, we're risk takers. We're looking at what's hot. I'm not waiting for somebody else to do it first. If it fails, okay, whatever, we'll try something different. But that's what sets EOS apart with the group fitness offerings.
And we were talking off camera about Zumba, Step.
Yeah.
What would you say are some of the hottest programs people are going into now? And
You're holding my mic.
And I forgot, I'm not much. What are some of the hottest programs that people are going for now? And how, is this a younger demographic, or are you getting some of the older people doing the traditional stuff like Step and Zumba?
Well, Zumba's always hot, and it's hot with all ages. And I can look in a Zumba class and you have people that are 16 all the way up to 85. And that's a lovely thing to see in fitness. We want to be able to have all ages feel successful in their workout. So that's what Zumba brings to the table. But we've also decided that, right now with our more traditional style classes, we have a group of people between the ages of like 35 and up to 75, and we're catering very well to that group with many different offerings. But we also had to open up the door because 60% of our members are under 35. And those people, man, they're hard to get into a group fitness class. So we had to get innovative and think, okay, what are the boutiques doing out there? What are they doing that we can bring into our gyms and do the same thing for a price point that everybody can afford? And so we looked at things like BBL, the Booty Builder Lab, and we have a partnership with Booty Builder, and we have their equipment, and we have coaches, and it's actually an event. We call it not a class because we want to be a little cool with it, and so it's an event taught by a coach. We have FU, which is Fitness Unchained. And we have FU is very much a circuit style, station work, athletic type sports performance class. And then we also have things like mind body rehab, where they're joining a core power yoga or a club Pilates or whatever. We want to be able to have that in 80-degree temperatures. We're putting the red lights in there. And Contenders Corner, by the way. Boxing of all sorts. We've got different programs of boxing that are in the studio as well. So our goal is to have something that every single age is interested and excited about.
I have so many questions for you. You only
Sure.
have like 20 minutes here.
Yes.
But let me start with this. So recently, as late as last week, SoulCycle, who was such an innovator, I was really privileged to work with SoulCycle in the very, very early days. We built up the booking platform. I worked with the founders starting in 2014. And they were the darlings. I mean, in a lot of ways, they created modern day boutique fitness as we know today.
Yeah.
Last week, they've shut down anywhere from, I'm hearing 12 to 20 studios, but so much of what they did carried boutique fitness forward. Fast forward to brands like EOS, you've now brought boutique fitness into your gym, which as Matthew mentioned, was unconventional because in the premium sector, in Equinox and Lifetime or Bay Club, you would see curated, highly experiential boutique. So when you're building out boutiques, I love that you talked about the BBL and the FU. You're just being really innovative and creative on how you're delivering that to an under 35 customer. But talk about, like, are you trying to take what is working? I did Tone House, by the way, this morning, which was a lot of fun. But are you looking to take a strength class like a Tone House or something else and bring it into an EOS with your own flavor? Are you creating your own format like a BBL? What's your perspective on boutique?
Oh, totally creating our own spin on it. So that's my job with the company, is the innovative piece with the group fitness and trying to figure out, okay, what worked well in a boutique? Why was that so popular? And they still are, right? There's a personal experience. It's really cool, the bells and whistles. So that was so important. A lot of gym operators are trying to do it. But if you don't take what you learn from a boutique style experience and do it that way, it's not going to work. So we've got the creative, beautiful studios with the neon and the very edgy hip feel. It's more of an experience, like a destination when you walk into one of our studios. And then we take the things that are really popular right now. We decided on 5 buckets that's our focus at EOS Fitness. One is strength, obviously that's big now. Mind, body, dance, and then we have all of our EOS exclusives that we create. And then Les Mills is a big partner with us as well. But those 5 buckets are where we're trying to stay.
You've also added Pilates.
Totally, that's part of our mind body.
I think with your former.
Yes, so we are bringing the reformer programs in, and very excited about that. And the studios are so classy and elegant, sophisticated. That's the cool part too, is every studio and every program has what I call a different essence. Like when you walk into one studio, it's not just like back in the day where you walk into a studio and it could be anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Now when you walk into one of our studios, you're like, whoa, it's like an experience. So that's what we're trying to create.
You mentioned that getting some of the under 30s in is quite a challenge. Let's talk about that demographic for a moment. Like with the people that you've been able to get in your studios, what's the split between men and women, number one? And then also, what do you found successful on the strength side? Because when I go into some of the Gold's gyms that you've recently acquired, a lot of the people in the free weights area are women doing like squatting and doing a lot of sort of heavy free weights. So demographic and also the type of programming you're having to put to relate to the people who want to lift heavy stuff on the gym floor.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Again, that demographic, they've got their apps and they're watching all these influencers with the strength stuff, whether they know what they're doing or not. Let's just say that. So we're trying to make sure that we have the skill set with our instructors and our coaches to give them what they want in a group setting. So our lift program, heavier lifting, less reps, more recovery in between sets, just like you're on the free weight floor. Right? And so
is that with barbells? Are you using?
We have heavy barbells, we have heavy dumbbells, we have heavy kettlebells. So we're ordering much heavier equipment than group fitness has done in the past. And we also have now Body Pump Heavy. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I've taken it.
Yes, and it's
good.
A whole
because if you
different
take it body, and it's different weights. Did you get the equipment as well?
Say it again?
Did you get the equipment?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Well, we have, the heavy, when you're doing Body Pump Heavy, you can't just have the standard equipment.
That's right.
You've got to order extra heavy plates so that you give people more options to lift heavier. So we've definitely done that.
How do you view, so you talked about having reformers and being kind of modern. 2 follow-up questions. Do you use digital, like with the Euroformer as an example, they've got the digital kiosk. Do you use the digital kiosk or is it more instructor-led first? And then second, how are you finding recruiting trainers to kind of come in? So I think 2 questions.
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. So the digital aspect, yes, we use digital. We try, have apps where they can follow, we can track fitness. But we also really know that the live instructor and that personal experience is not going anywhere.
No.
That's where people want. We found that out during COVID, right? Everybody was like, the live classes are gone. No, it's never going to be popular again. That absolutely could not have been further from the truth. We're bigger now in our classes than we were before COVID. And as far as finding the right people, we look at our team. So we look at the personal trainers, and we've really kind of fused those 2 departments together very well, especially with a lot of these new programs that we're creating. I train them personally, and I also have Yusuf, who's my sidekick, director of programming. He'll go out and train. So we personally are out there working with the personal trainers themselves and bringing in many group fitness instructors that want to kind of fit into this essence that we talked about earlier. So getting all ages. Whereas before, and I'm talking about myself here, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a middle-aged woman, and that was big, with group fitness, and we're still big. Well, we got a lot of game left to give. But to entice younger people to also, we want to open up the door for a career for everybody, right? And so by getting some of the younger people trained through us with our knowledge and our expertise, that's what helped us take off with these new programs. We have so many personal trainers coaching events for us in group fitness.
What are you doing about on the music side? I know Les Mills and Zumba, that's a big part of their business. With you developing programs in-house, how important is that music element?
So important. And that's a big part of the training. I don't necessarily play, like when I coach, something that I would go home and listen to. And I also tell some of my young personal trainers, please don't play everything that you would go home and listen to, right?
Yeah.
A mix. It's diverse, it's eclectic. We don't, say you've got to play this style, because everybody needs to be unique and have their style and their personality come out. But I do believe that we do different genres, and that way everybody gets something that they know and that they're excited about in the workout. So yeah, we really try to play something for everybody. And music is huge.
And is it difficult to standardize? Because from when I went to some of the Gold's gyms that you guys acquired from Angel, you used to go to different parts of California, and certain classes would be really popular and certain weren't. How do you deal with that now you guys are getting so big and have gyms pretty much in many key states across the country?
Yeah, well, you've got to look at the demographic of the gym and where that gym is located, because California may be very different than Tampa, Florida. That may be very different from Salt Lake City, Utah. So we definitely plan our music according to the demographic. We also look at the time slot. Is this a mom crowd? Is this an after work crowd? And we plan music accordingly. But bottom line, we just want to make sure that the instructors and coaches can still be unique and bring their own style and still stay within our parameters. We play clean music, and but we also want to have edgy, fun, cool music too. So
EOS, one final question. EOS has always seemed to be ahead of the curve. I really noticed when you had those influencer rooms that you've created, and when gyms are saying don't bring your phones in, you said we're going to create a space for you. You're going to pay us. You're going to pay us for that, but we love it. And then that really, I think, helped drive some of your success, because you had people come in, they're seeing the equipment, they're seeing the space. As it relates to group fitness, number one, what is the hottest modality today? We hear it's Pilates. Is it that for you? And number two, how do you know what's coming next?
We don't know what's coming next. That's my job to figure out. So like I said, I try anything. If I love it and I see it, or I get from my team or the members and they give us ideas, hey, all right, let's give it a go, right? So I'm not afraid to try anything. But as far as what's hot right now, we all know Pilates is hot, right? And, we're going to jump on the bandwagon, but we're going to lead the way differently than everybody else is doing. We're trying to transform how Pilates Reformer is seen. So we're going to be offering 3 different types to cater to all different groups. And I just watched the Pilates panel. It was very interesting. So we're going to have a more traditional Pilates class, which is Reform Refined, so that the traditional Pilates people will get what they're looking for. Then we have Reform Remix, which is mixing the workout up, where there's on and off the equipment. So it's a little bit of both.
It's a bit like solid core.
Yes, definitely. And then we have, and a little bit more like solid core would be Pilates, would be Reform, Rebuild. Very athletic, all the bells and whistles, a little bit more power, a little bit more strength focus. So that way, everybody that comes in has the Pilates style that they're looking for. Yeah, so that's big, that's huge. I'm shocked at how well Contenders Corner has done. Trust me, boxing is not out if you do it right. And I mean, we've got the cool lighting and, the bags everywhere, and we do real boxing work. Some of our coaches are coaches for professional fighters. We have a couple of ex-professional fighters that are coaching for us. So it's very important who you have coaching those classes.
What do you do about the instructors? I know boutiques, even Peloton that we're talking about, you're getting these sort of superstar trainers. Are you working with some of these instructors to help them promote themselves and build their brands? Like, tell us a bit about that.
Oh, for sure. Our instructors are our bread and butter. They're the heartbeat of our company. And some of our instructors, I mean, we all know they have cult-like followings.
Yes.
They go from one gym to the other. Their little members go behind them, and they pack the house. And we treat them very well. Like, I'm very, very happy to have them on my team, right? But we also know that nothing is bigger than team. So we create a culture where we all bleed blue, right? We're all EOs at the end of the day. And our instructors are treated well, so they want to work for us. And yeah, like social media, they are marketing. I don't know if you've seen our social media. Oh my goodness. I mean, we have gone viral. We've gone viral a few times with people talking about our BBL and our Zumba instructors and influencers coming in and taking our dance classes. So yeah, we look for them to have their phones and record. Again, if a member doesn't want to be in it, then they don't have to be. We always are very courteous and ask. But yeah, the more we can get that, the better.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to have you back.
Lauren Maffei, head of partnerships.
Yes.
Budding or wannabe podcaster talking about life. So if you had a podcast, Lauren, what would you talk about?
Oh gosh, there's so many things to talk about. Travel, politics, the best states to live in, the worst states to live in. I know it's things that you talk to your friends about like every day, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
But for purpose brands then,
Yes.
what would be the link if you had to connect it to purpose brands based on what you do in your role, head of partnerships? And
That's probably partnerships, like what the member is looking for, what we hear from our members. And I think honestly, like the everyday health and wellness and how fitness is not just exercise anymore, but it's health and wellness and brands that contribute to longevity.
Right.
And I feel like that's a daily conversation with, what can we do to be younger, feel better?
And what would you say are some of the conversations then, or some of the topics, or what's important to some of your members that come into the gyms?
Yeah, I think our members are looking for not just, when we have 4 brands. So on Orange Theory and the Bar Method specifically, given that they're class environments, we give them support for an hour within the class, but they're asking us, what should they be eating? What should they be doing for recovery? How do they track their calories? How do they maximize their workout? So they're really looking for us to bring them value and recommendations on how to create more life, which is Orange Theory's tagline. So really contributing to that longevity. So we're looking at how do we bring in partnerships that drive value for our members, that assist them in their daily life, but also make them feel like they're getting value with their membership and that we're a one-stop shop for longevity.
Which is interesting, right? Because I think you see a lot of gyms going in that direction, not so much so boutique. So from your perspective, you're also relatively new
Yes.
to purpose brands.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year.
That's new.
So think about Orange Theory, which has had such a great run,
Yep.
but it is struggling with retention and churn a little bit. New store sales, right? It doesn't have that pizzazz that it has for a couple of reasons. One, HIIT in a lot of ways is going out of style, and more zone 1, zone 2, or Pilates concepts are definitely being better. So I think Bar might be a good brand that you're seeing some growth in. But when you think about boutique fitness, people typically view it as a 45-minute, a 60-minute kind of workout, and that's it. I'm coming in to do a workout.
Yeah.
But you want to make it a bit more lifestyle. An early brand that did that was SoulCycle, right? And SoulCycle, who I had an opportunity to work with for many years early on, I think created the lifestyle primarily through apparel. I would run down the West Side Highway, and I would see all SoulCycle shirts.
Oh, that apparel would drop, and it would be off the shelf by the nighttime class. They crushed it with their
Crushed it.
apparel.
And then sticking with cycling, Peloton recently this year, they had a partnership with Lululemon. They've now extended it to instructors. I'm seeing it in their digital,
Yeah.
in the physical. They're wearing it. Tunde launched a new apparel line last month. What would be if you were to take the top 5 and say, either from a purpose brand, Anytime Fitness or Orange Theory or Bar, what would be your top 5 target partnerships that you would like to see happen?
You mean partnership with
Yes.
brands? Good question. I think a retail partner definitely, especially for coaches. I think that would be something that, when the coaches are walking billboards. So if they're wearing it, and we've explored in the past shoes that are specific for our treadmills. We've done things. We've explored that. I think retail is really interesting. A lot of what I'm actually doing right now for the brand is, we're so well known in the fitness space, given our size, but my background's in brand licensing. So I've been looking at a lot of things how do we get our brands outside of the fitness space? So people who don't take our classes or are members of our gyms, how do we get them to recognize the brands in their everyday life? So we just launched a Orange Theory True Bar. I'm not sure if you're familiar with True Bar. It's a protein bar. Yeah. Woman founded down in Florida, and her flavors are all desserts. So she has glazed donut and like really fun flavors, but her ingredients are all gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, 12 grams of fiber, 12 grams of protein, like really healthy ingredients, but fun flavors. So we just launched an orange creamsicle flavor that's co-branded Orange Theory, which is sold in our studios as well as at retail. So it's how do you get people to see that Orange Theory?
How's it work?
It's great. It's great. So we launched full network across all 1,300 studios in the U.S. It's online at truebar.com, Amazon, and Kroger. And phase 2 will be Target, Walmart, Publix, and some other convenient and grocery. So it's things like that where you're getting and the great part about it is there's a QR code on the packaging. So you scan the QR code, it takes you to TrueBar's site, and you can buy the bar and you can sign up for Orange Theory with an exclusive membership offer.
Do you see that certain brand like Orange Theory, for example, as a brand has more ability to influence customer tastes or customer ideas than some of the other brands, for example? Like how, because I suppose there's so many experts, so much content out there for people to go to find information. Like as a fitness brand, can you really have that sort of credibility and reputation to be able to say, well, we're the authority of something?
I think because our brand, Orange Theory in particular, is so community driven and it's such a core following. A lot of our members have been members over the last 16 years. Yeah, I think anything, first of all, you give them something Orange Theory, they're super excited. But yeah, I think that, again, they really trust what we bring to them. So they are really, and it's kind of nice to see, they do really trust what we are putting in front of them. And again, our customers very vocal, which is good. So we can hear, the feedback around True Bar has been great. It's a clean product. It's aligned with the values and the goals of Orange Theory as well. So I think, our customer really trusts what we're giving them.
Because we talked about that on a previous podcast where I suppose the influencers are becoming more of an influence in some of the fitness brands where people go into.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. But it's kind of back to Orange Theory. Have you taken Orange Theory, by the way?
Yeah.
You have, right? And it's a great.
While ago, but
oh, it hasn't changed. I mean, they have now a cardio workout. They have a strength workout.
Yeah.
Strength 50.
Oh, yeah, and then we also just launched OT Strong, which is another version as well of heavier reps, more strength focused than cardio.
And I always love. It's called Hell Week.
Yes.
I love Hell Week. So always get involved in that. But
it is exactly what it says.
It's 5. Is it 5 classes in 7 days or 4 in 7 days?
5 and 7.
Yeah, it's 5 and 7 days. It's brutal. Yeah, but it's once a year, right? Yeah. And it's a lot of fun. Everyone kind of gets involved. But how do you, if I think about partnerships, I think about maybe wearables. I think about holistic health. I think about my Orange Theory app giving me more engagement throughout my daily life. Because the challenge today is we live in a fragmented ecosystem, right? So you have like your consumer in Orange Theory might have an Oura. I don't know if you have an Oura ring or not.
I'm a terrible example of wearables. I have nothing. I just actually got an Oura ring, but I have never had an Apple Watch. I am no Whoop. I'm a terrible.
Well, the Apple Watch is a good start. Well,
no, I never even had one of those.
But now you do.
No.
Oh, you still don't. But you got an Oura ring.
I have an Oura ring.
Okay.
But I'm not the person to ask when it comes to wearables.
But hold on. So when you do an OTF class, you do wear the heart rate monitor.
I'll wear the heart rate. I like the OG heart rate monitor.
So technically,
I will, yes.
Technically that's
but
a wearable.
But only for my class, and then I take it off. I'm not a daily wearable user.
Why is that?
I think with the app, also everyone jokes with me at work, I don't speak tech. I'm terrible at technology. So the Apple Watch was just I didn't want to be too connected. And then I just really never got into any of the others.
Okay.
Transparently. I know, terrible.
Well, you always seem to be super responsive. You're quick with our messages, so I always appreciate that.
I'm good at email.
But so when you think about the experience for an Orange Theory consumer, I think, how do you think about getting closer to that member experience? Because when you think about partnerships, you want to, be more visible in places that are not just fitness, but also outside. And that could be a way to bring people in. But then for the member itself, how do you get them more engaged? Because community is really strong, but how can partnerships play a role there? You mentioned food, which is this protein bar. you kind of talk about apparel as well.
Sorry?
You talk about clothing, apparel,
yes.
apparel as well.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts in the studio, right? And that's just a challenge across franchising where, you know, we from the corporate office work really, really hard to make sure that our owners and our operators are trained from the top down messaging of what is important, how do we get our members excited. It's the sales associates as well, it's the coaches, it's people who are in the studios on the floor, like how do you engage the member? And that's something we always look at when we're going to launch something. So if the studio staff is not interested and the coaches aren't interested, the members are not going to be interested. So it really starts from how do we as a company tell a story that gets everybody excited so that our customers are excited and everybody is singing the same tune per se.
Oh, how does that apply to the other brands? So Anytime.
Anytime, yep.
What are the differences between the, you know, being successful in partnerships with Orange Theory and Anytime?
Yeah, so Anytime, just completely different model. Started accessibility. So 24/7, we're open every day, all hours of the day. It's a really good place. What I have learned is first responders, people who are frontline workers who work odd hours that can only go to the gym at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. That's really where the concept started. And Anytime, again, we have a different but loyal customer. I think just given boutique fitness versus gyms, you're not going to always get the community because it's more of an in and out, right? We're not in the class, but Anytime is, by the end of this year, we'll have over 6,000 locations globally. Our international growth just is really paving the way.
I spoke to Sandra last night. He's telling me about it.
Yeah, the internet, it's truly incredible what they're doing. And in the US, we're redesigning all of our clubs, so everything is getting updated. What you see from an international perspective is they have their own recovery stations and they're bringing in more innovation, just given that the clubs are new and we can start from scratch. So I think giving the member access to recovery, to beverages, to protein, things like that within the club, that's what gets them excited. And again, it goes back to that value.
What about partnerships though? Do you get the same, like if you come up with whether it's a bar or a drink or something, do you get the same sort of connection, or do they embrace it in the same way, or do you have to approach that differently for Anytime?
It's a little different just given the model as well. So the way that their network works from a franchise perspective, how we roll things out, tech capabilities, operational, so different. All of our brands are very different. So it's finding the best. When you get a partnership that comes in or you're thinking of something, it's looking at how we operationally roll it out, and then determining kind of what's the best way to touch our members. Orange Theory, for example, you book classes in the app. So every member is going in that app and booking. Anytime Fitness, you don't need to access the app every day. We have an access pass through Apple Wallet. So it's things like that when you really break it down, the brands are so different. So it's finding what works for that. We also laugh internally that orange is such an easy flavor profile. With purple, we're laughing. We're like, grape, is it fig? Like, which one is it? So just very different brands.
That's funny. We have a lot of operators that listen to our podcast. And I think partnerships is a great way to extend the brand, add more to the community. What are the things that they should be tracking for? So when they think about a partnership, when you launch this new partnership, what are some of the success metrics you're looking for?
Yeah.
What are some of the key indicators that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I have a framework of 3 different pillars that I start with. So brand awareness, amplification. So we want to make sure, like I said before, the brands are known outside of fitness, but also known to people who do exercise. We want them to see a Splat and to see a Purple AF and say, okay, I know these brands. In addition to that, we want to drive value for our members. So that's the amplification piece. Our second would be lead generation and membership. So how do I get people through our clubs and studios? How do I get them to join and stay? And then our third, of course, is how do you drive revenue to our franchisees, to corporate? What does that look like as well? So that's kind of the framework. And then once we get a partnership, we try to really evaluate, okay, is this a lead gen opportunity? Is this a revenue play? Is this just brand awareness, or is it all 3?
I was curious, like, my guess is that you're young, and I don't want to, you don't ask an age, but my guess is you're definitely a lot younger than what I am. I'm sure Mo as well.
It's all the red light. See, wellness.
You mentioned that you weren't into technology, you
No.
don't have any wearables. It's funny because when I talk to my children and I've been reading more stuff online, it seems as though there's this almost rebel in some cases, not in all, against sort of being too connected and technology. Like, it sounds as though you have to be up to date with trends and what's going on in the world. What are you seeing regarding more of the younger people's relationship to technology? And do you feel that there'll be this slight difference to probably where we are now, where we're totally connected, to people almost having this, I'm not connected to anything at all, and then I go back into a connected world? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
For the younger people that I do know, what I think is interesting is they're using phones, but they're using apps that aren't two-way communication. So they're scrolling or they're looking at videos and things, and I'm not in that demographic anymore, but they're not as connected from like a communication standpoint is what I've seen. They're on the TikToks, they're on like Reels and things like that, so they're not as connected. But again, that can shift. I see kids all the time, they're quickly texting back and forth. I don't know. That's a very good question, and because I'm not tech connected or as well versed in tech. But I think my generation, at least, we are. Actually, I'll say I had it the best of both worlds. I played outside when I didn't have technology, and then I was in the age of dial-up internet, and when cell phones really started coming out. So I kind of had the best of both worlds. So I think maybe my generation's a good balance, but I think when it comes to work and every day, we're so connected to just making sure we're accessible and can answer quickly.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming on, Lauren.
Thank you guys for having me. Honored.
Pleasure. So we have Warren Heffelfiger, the CEO of ISSA, at Athletech. This is your first time at Athletech, and
yes,
admittedly,
indeed.
you said, we were talking about before, you don't go to a lot of conferences.
No, I tend not to. First couple of years at ISSA, I've been pretty heads down. We've been building some really fun things, and now a bit of my coming out party. We're trying to get out here and I'm going to get out in public a lot more now. It's fun.
So one of the things that got my attention was on the podcast, we've spoken quite a lot to different people about there being a real shortage of trainers, and in particular after the pandemic, many trainers went off and worked on their own. You've got a slightly different view of that perspective. So why don't you share what you're seeing and give us some of the background on why you believe that's the case?
Sure. So there's a lot of open positions for trainers, 225,000 globally. We track this pretty closely. I think there's a misnomer though that there's a supply issue. There's no supply issue. We have an overabundance of people that want to be personal trainers. So I think I would describe it more as a supply and demand chasm. There's a lack of a bridge between the two. And so if you're an operator, it's hard to find these trainers, and that's the real problem. But there's plenty of supply out there if you look for it closely enough.
So there's also, I think, confusion around the types of certifications that are provided. We were talking about this right before. There's ones that are accredited, then you've got open book. So if you're a fitness facility and you're looking to either train your trainers through a certification process, or you're looking to understand the differences between certifications from the various companies, how do you advise that an operator should, what should they be looking for?
Well, I think there's two things to answer. First of all, there's the baseline accreditation. So most of us, including ISSA, of course, have accredited courses that we offer. I think what we're now seeing is that we're really trying to produce what we call full stack trainers. We think about specialize, we think about certify, specialize, and connect. And those are the skill sets a trainer needs now. So certification, accreditation, that's only the first step in the process for a trainer. I think after that, you have to become more specialized, offering things like GLP-1 certifications and menopause certifications, longevity certifications. But all around this is the most important skill, which is the soft skill of connection. And so all of our courses are embedded with lots of soft skills and personalization so that a trainer can actually be successful working one-on-one with their clients.
How are education companies like yourselves keeping up with the rate of change? There's no shortage of information out there, podcasts.
Yeah.
Consumers are extremely, I was going to say extremely well educated, but they probably feel as though they're very well educated compared to their trainer. So what do you do as a training body when you're having to have a certain amount of lag time with some of the information that's out there, like GLP-1s and peptides and many of the information that you're getting from your wearables, but at the same time keeping things relevant for the guys and girls that are going through your education curriculum?
So for us to say, we have a fantastic embedded feedback loop, and it actually, we're at the start or finish, depending on your perspective, but it starts with the clients, the end users of fitness facilities. And so they're giving feedback to trainers give feedback to the operators, and the operators give feedback to us. And so there's a tremendous loop, and we've accelerated our curriculum development process. We've dropped it by about 90% in the last 2 years. And so things I just mentioned, GLP-1 certification, menopause certification, used to take months or years to get that done. And we hear the feedback from the end user, and we're able to roll these courses out very quickly to meet market demand. And this ends up, with this trend of like sort of hyper-personalization, so where you can really meet the clients where they want to be met. And the second thing I would say is, technology is advancing curriculum and programming, as you would say, but technology without humans is not worth much. Right. We've had programming for decades, for hundreds of years, really. I mean, if you want programming, you can get a Jane Fonda VHS from the 80s. There's lots of content out there, but without a human being to drive accountability and behavior, it's really not worth much.
Well, that's something we've been talking a lot about recently, is the role of AI.
Yeah.
And I think the role of the trainer has changed a lot, where there's more of an emphasis on soft skills, things like empathy, things like having, a trainer's going to provide accountability. Because members are coming in with programs that they might have found through AI. The role of the coach or the trainer has really evolved. Just would love to get your perspective on how you think the role of the coach is changing or has changed because of AI.
Yeah, listen, AI is a great tool. It is and will be a great tool. It's also just another technology. So I think AI is going to be very important in developing programming, and that frees up trainers to spend more of their time on the soft skills around behavior change and accountability. So I think trainers are adapting to this and saying, well, I now have more time to be able to drive hyper-personalized programming for my clients and to be able to focus on their behavior change. I mean, the classic example, Peloton is wonderful, but how many Pelotons just have like clothes hanging on them and gathering dust? Because it's just a machine. It's something that needs somebody to help facilitate that behavioral change.
With your view on, like, what industry did you come in from? You said you've only been here for a few years.
I was in a related health and wellness business around like online therapy and coaching.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking to new people, new trainers coming into the industry now, with what Mo said around AI, and I guess there's a lot of support that trainers have now or can get now that they didn't have. What would you say is one of the timeless things that they can focus on in terms of really doubling down on a particular skill that's likely to be undisrupted by technology?
It's absolutely the soft skills. It's absolutely. I mean, I think historically there was a misnomer that because I'm strong and fit and I know how to lift weights and I can do lat pull downs, that I'm going to be a good trainer. And you need those skills, of course, but that's just a basic building block. If you don't have the soft skills, you're not going to succeed, because ultimately clients are looking to change. They want to become the better version of themselves, and they need that human interaction, the soft skills. And without being very good at the soft skills, you're not going to succeed.
So we talked about that there was a big exodus during the pandemic of personal trainers. People left the industry, yeah, or they went on their own and they, yeah, started their own digital kind of products. A lot of that was driven because of pay. They weren't making enough at the gym, or the split they didn't feel like was equitable or fair. They went out on their own, started making more money. They left the industry, started making more money. I'm sure pay and trainer pay is something that you think about a lot. We just would love to understand your opinion on, do you think you could make a reasonable living wage in a city like New York? Well, I live in Washington. Matthew lives in Newport Beach, California. These are expensive places to live. What's your perspective on where trainer pay is today?
Well, our operating partners, we have very good data on this, and successful trainers are making a very good living. But we get back to that same theme around, it's not just about the programming. The successful trainers have those intangible skills, and they're able to build a clientele. If you're churning and burning clients, you're not going to make a good living as a trainer. That's a pretty simple equation. But if you're able to provide value to your clients and have them come back and back and back, that's where you make a good living, and the pay can be just fine. You can live anywhere in the world and be a successful personal trainer if you have those soft skills.
Okay. Well, thanks for your time today.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, well, let's do it. Pete
Well,
Moore.
Look here. What am I looking at?
Pete Moore, you can look at
at
me. It's okay. It's not going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward if you look at me.
It's not awkward, bro.
It's not awkward.
I like you, and I know you for a long time.
And
so
then we've done close sticks together.
we've done a lot together.
We've done a lot together.
Yeah, we've done Soul Cycle, mergers and acquisitions. I'd say between those two things, that's pretty intense.
You get in good days, dark days, calls. In fact, I won't forget this. We're working on projects together. Do you remember this? My wife had literally given birth to my youngest. And we were on a call in the hospital because it was that important.
Yeah. Well,
He
that's
called
how you
that
roll.
stuff.
That's why I like you, because I know that no matter what time of the day you're available,
Literally
and that you're
all
on point.
times.
There's never been a time when I've said like, yo, Mo, like he wasn't clear on that.
No.
I've never said that before until now, which I
And
apologize.
likewise, by the way.
We've been saying that right now.
No, but likewise, always. So Pete Moore, I mean, you have coined the Halo term. I saw Eddie gave you a shout out in the opening, which is amazing. You've been in this industry for decades. You have led the most interesting transactions. You found value in transactions where people didn't even see any value and really helped a lot of people out, helped the industry out. You've educated the industry on EBITDA, on the
What's your
business.
EBITDA t-shirt?
You got the EBITDA t-shirt on.
EBITDA?
And we saw you yesterday. You pulled out this laminated card. I have a copy. It's in my bag. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so, to kind of synthesize what's going on in the last 20 years, I used to tell people I'm a health and wellness banker. And every time I had the word wellness come out of my mouth, I kind of cringed because I didn't like the word that came out of my mouth. And I didn't know why. And then I Googled it, and it turned out that there was a guy at the Mayo Clinic back in the 50s. His name was Dr. Halbert Dunn, and he was trying to come up with the antonym of illness. Okay. So the antonym of illness is wellness, which to me is the not sick industry. And as you guys are big proponents of everything going on here and have waved the flag, and I love you guys both for what you guys are doing and the achievements you've had personally and professionally with the podcast, we're at a completely another level. And the private equity groups that are coming in here, the companies you work for, all owned by multi-billion-dollar private equity funds, like we are in the major leagues. And the only thing that's not major league is the name of our industry. We're not the health club industry. We're not the connected fitness. Yeah. People kind of come up with all these different, uses of different words. And 9 years ago, I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, it's got to be called the Halo sector. And it stands for Health, Active Lifestyle, Outdoors. That's what I dreamed about.
Maybe we should think about branding Lifts as the podcast of the Halo sector.
I mean, look, so what we did originally was we came out with Halo Talks, which is a podcast.
Did you trademark that?
We trademarked Halo Talks.
Okay.
We trademarked Halo Academy and Halo Advisors, but we purposely did not trademark Halo because I want everyone to use it, and I want that to be the name of the industry. Smart. Just like the SaaS industry, the TMT, wealth management, it's called the Halo sector. So in order to do that, over the last 9 years, I started the podcast solely to help sell companies and create an audio teaser. That was the reason for the podcast, because I couldn't get people to actually read 5 pages in PowerPoint before a presentation.
Okay.
And then people said, hey, can I come on the show? And it was a way for us not to say no to potential investment banking clients. And say, hey, I'll do a podcast with you, use it as kind of an infomercial to go and raise money or do a deal, whatever you need to do.
And what was those things that you got me on a while? You used to do these breakdowns of companies, like I jumped on the CrossFit one and the Planet Fitness one.
Yes, that was so then during COVID, you've been on a couple of times. Yeah. You helped me on a couple of those. What we did, you helped me with Peloton. I did 5 case studies over a 2-week crash course, kind of like a Halo Academy boot camp. And I basically went to Harvard Business School, so I basically repurposed cases that were developed by different business schools and basically had our own little mini MBA
Are you still doing
program.
that? You still doing the Halo
I'm
Academy?
still doing that. I do it privately for some companies that you know of, where I'll do it one day, and then in September we're doing 1 case a month at the beginning of the month, and we got a Kajabi community platform that's set up.
Yeah, we should re-engage on that because I really like what you've done, and we'll chat offline.
That's fascinating.
It's really good.
And it was really just trying to break down the business models. And what I tell a lot of people in the industry, and you guys know this all too well, But if you're going to go and articulate your business plan and try and get capital for it, you better know what other business plans are being deployed and what our offensive playbooks are being deployed by the other players in the space you're competing with. And once you can articulate that, then you can say, here's my lane, or here's my point of differentiation, and that's how to get you capital and understand the metrics of that. So I know we're short on time here, but what we wanted to do is basically define the Halo sector. So guys like you could say, okay, I get it. Not just like, hey, Pete, that's a cool acronym, but actually like put something behind it. So we came up with 52 public companies. These are all tracked with their revenue and EBITDA multiples. There's a QR code on the back.
By the way, I've been doing this myself manually. You know this. I have to pull the data out.
What you've been doing, like your weekly wrap-ups, is very in sync, and I repost a lot of your stuff also because it's on point with this
But it's
sector.
hard to get the data. It's a lot of time because no one's been pulling this together.
Yeah, so we want to pull it together, for two reasons. One is, there's a legacy of like we started when we used to go to trade shows, and had a 10 by 10 booth, and there was no private equity. And now look where we've come. So I want the Halo sector acronym to be like what everyone says, I'm an investor in the Halo sector. That's important to me. And the second thing is these companies that are on this list need to be at these shows.
Yes.
I think ATN's done a good job of expanding the breadth of the vendors, but like,
what people, because for people who can't see it, who would be some of the sort of probably not so obvious
like why
ones
isn't Chipotle here as a potential partner of like do 10 workouts to get a Chipotle
on that list? Why is Chipotle?
Because it's a healthier food choice than going to a McDonald's or a Taco Bell. Dick's Sporting Goods. Why doesn't Dick's Sporting Goods run the e-commerce for the entire health club industry? Why don't they do that? I mean, we got all this data that you talk about all the time.
They have the equipment. They run a marathon. They're the big sponsor of the Pittsburgh Marathon.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, like, you're a health club operator. You go into your system, say, show me everybody that said that they're training for a race. Show me everybody that ran on a treadmill from all the wearables. And now send them a gift card from Dick's Sporting Goods, right?
Like that.
We'll have Dick's Sporting Goods come in and do a pro shop.
I like this.
Madison Square Garden. Is there a reason why, New York sports clubs and Crunch doesn't have a deal where overflow tickets that are available for all these events or preseason games aren't in partnership? Is there a reason why the locker room in the Bronx doesn't look like the New York Yankees? Is there a reason why Dasani Water doesn't have, Crunch Fitness powered by Dasani Water? Why is it that only arenas get branded, right? Why isn't Lifetime Fitness, sponsored by, Garmin? Garmin is a $47 billion market cap company.
Right.
Right. So there should be some
They're
sponsorship revenue. Right.
Yeah.
Manchester United, take a look at Polaris, which makes boats, right? With a health active lifestyle outdoors.
Okay, so you've gone with this list broad which is really helpful because when I look at this and I try to do my own analysis, I take a very narrow viewpoint because there's not enough public companies that are, I would say, from pure sense in our sector. But I think when I think about how to price things, you got to look a little bit outside of the adjacency, and that's what you've done here.
Right. Yeah. So we got like Vail Resorts on here. We've got VF Corp, which does a lot of the apparel on the outdoor side. You got Brunswick, one of the largest boat companies. You got EPR, which is a real estate investment group that focuses on experiential properties. So look, this list is going to kind of ebb and flow. What we did to keep it simple, because I'm like,
I got the
hopefully
cards.
the most creative
I got the
bank you'll
cards
ever
here.
meet. In my next lifetime, I'll come back as a marketing guy.
Love it.
And not as a banker. But these cards here.
I feel like in your past life you were a marketing guy.
Yeah, look, maybe
I
that's
think you
what I'm
were.
doing.
I think you were.
That's actually even better. I'm going to use that instead.
Yes.
That's where this comes from, my past life.
That's
instead of
right.
My future. So basically what we did here is we took all the companies I just referenced. Each one of them has their own card with a caricature on it, with my same caricature guy that did the book with me.
I'm still upset I wasn't in your book.
Yeah, no, you maybe version
No,
2, bro.
maybe version 2.
And then all the valuation multiples. And the idea here is to basically have it set up where like you've got a deck of cards, I've got a deck of cards.
Is it like that Top
And you got a
Trumps
deck of
game?
cards?
Remember that? Did you have that here? Top Trumps.
Top
We used to
Trumps?
have it. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
everyone used to have all the motorcycles and race.
So you'd have to update these relatively frequently.
So every quarter we'll update the cards, and every quarter we'll update the report. But what this turns into is a way for companies to say, all right, let's think about how these companies could work together. So I got One World Spa. What do you got? What's your
Basic.
top?
I have the beauty tech route.
Okay, so Beauty Tech Group or Higher Dose is another example. Could be doing distribution into One World Spa's ships, right? One World Spa could say, hey, after you get off this ship, you know, we've got a deal where you could go into Basic Fit, right? And we got a 30-day membership for you to continue your workout recovery.
It's like one of those brain games where you...
Yeah, it's just kind of like a business development, you know, like go around the room like an icebreaker. Yeah.
This is great.
Just say, like, how do these companies work together? Just to get you thinking about, like, every time you meet somebody that's in a company in the Halo sector, we're all targeting the same consumer.
Yeah.
Like this walled garden, you know, they're all going on
same brands.
cruises. They're all, you know, buying the same types of brands. They're all, you know, want the next outdoor experience.
I like it.
So
It's
what
very
this is
smart.
doing,
We have to wrap up because it's short on time, but we want to make this, we're going to have you back. We want this to be a broader conversation, maybe get you on quarterly to do an
quarterly
update.
recap on the companies.
To do an
and the
update.
multiples.
We
So
could
we're
we
gonna
could
have
even
those-
play the game in the...
We could.
Where did you come up? When did you come up with this game? I like this idea. We just woke up in the middle of the night.
We just got these today. Oh, this has been a 1 year. We've been working on this for a year.
I like the fact that it does connect things that you wouldn't typically connect. And I would agree that that's the challenge with a lot of the events that you go to and a lot of the conversations. And we do our best to try and mix that up in the podcast. But you can end up having the same conversations with the same people. And I think this kind of is a nice way of like taking you outside of the box a little bit.
And the one thing to remember here in closing, every one of these companies on this list is worth over $500 million.
Okay.
Okay. And it goes up to $90 billion, right? So the marketing budgets for these
Exponential's
companies,
not on that list.
Exponential
is not on that list because they're under 500 million.
is on the list as of March.
Okay.
But they'll probably go private and they'll be replaced by Oura Ring or Whoop or somebody else that comes through.
Strava.
Strava. Yep. So we called it the Halo 52, primarily to do the card deck. And then maybe there'll be a Halo 104 one day.
But the marketing budget for these companies, you were saying, just to finish off.
Just there's billions and billions of dollars that could be pushed into our legacy industry that is avoiding this industry because we're not communicating with them. And that's our job, to get them in the room.
Well, Pete, great to have you on. I'd be curious to look at a private sector list of this as well. So
We
you have
that
public
in the,
sector,
in the major report.
because that'd be awesome. Well, Pete, thanks for coming on.
Good to see you guys.
All right, Natalia, FitTech Club, all the way from Germany, here in New York. What's top of mind after 2 days or 3 days in New York, Natalia?
Yeah, Natalia, from Germany. Well, I think the thing is that we're talking about pretty similar things in Europe and in the United States, but from very different perspectives. Like here, since over 70% of the population is obese, obviously the topic of GLP-1, of obesity, of fighting the epidemic of unhealthy
So what's the
people
percentage in
important.
Europe then? It's 70% here. What is it?
It's definitely not 70%, but it's also not like 10%. It's also not 10%. It's probably half, right? We do know that countries like Cyprus and Italy have the highest obesity rates for kids, right? And
Which country?
Cyprus and Italy. Yeah,
Where?
Italy.
Italy.
Yes.
And I heard Russia was up there as well.
Well, it depends on if you see Russia as Europe or not.
Well, oh, okay. All right.
Right. So we have a huge problem here, but there's still no solution that anyone can offer because the system, the healthcare systems and the fitness systems of each country are very different. And so when I come to the United States, for me each time it's like, oh my goodness, there's so much cash in this market and so much willingness to move fast, whereas in Europe we're a bit slower. But we're also trying to do this more organically and integrate the whole thing into how you're developing the healthcare and health ecosystem in combination with politics, in combination with the private sector as well.
Right. And it's quite funny that, as you say, like one of the most affluent countries in the world with the most advanced technology and one of the most advanced medical healthcare systems, and yet it's the most obese in the world. So that's a strange.
But I think it comes down. I think that they're both related, right? So as an economy gets more advanced, as an economy gets wealthier, there are two things that you see happen. I mean, the first is birth rate goes down, so in the more developed countries, and the second is that obesity goes up because you're more sedentary, you're moving less, the knowledge worker capacity split as of manual labor workers goes higher, and all those things contribute to it. However,
this is the burden of civilization.
Yes. However, And that 70% is probably based off of like people that don't meet physical activity guidelines. Obesity rate obviously is a little bit low, but for the first time though, in 2025, our obesity trends were actually trending down for the first time. As a result,
globally or?
No, just for the U.S.
Okay,
just for the U.S. And that's really because of driven by largely by GLP-1s. I also think that awareness, and I'd love to get your perspective in Europe, but like here in the U.S., there is one, a social gathering may not need to include alcohol. It could include other things, CBD-based supplements, could just include water.
Yeah.
So I think that is socially now acceptable, that if you want to have a drink, that's okay. But if you don't, that's okay too. Then also the turnaround, we talked about this, the community centering around fitness and wellness. Like that's been a growing trend. Run clubs, you've seen the growth of High Rocks. I think finally it's awareness that people are now saying, especially after the pandemic, that I've got to get control of my health. Are you seeing that happen in Europe as well?
No, I absolutely agree with you here. And I think you've touched upon so many points here that are super important. So on the one hand, we're having this young generation of people, let's say between 15 and 35, right, who are pretty unsure and insecure what's happening in the world, right? They're growing up amidst the whole crisis of AI, amidst the whole geopolitical crisis as well that we're seeing globally. And the only thing they can really control are their bodies. So that's one of the movements that we're seeing in Europe as well, where, for example, in the UK, pubs have a huge issue. People stop going to pubs and start going to gyms and social events like High Rocks, whatever, right? The connection on the personal level is getting more and more important. You mentioned the pandemic, exactly, that's what's happening. We have the trend into the other direction where the personal touch, the personal connection, sitting here together and just having a conversation has an impact on our hormone systems. So that's just a physical fact, right? And this is why we're seeing the dating events. People are, just bumping the dating apps and going into the dating events, all single events. I think there's like one company which is called like Thursday dating or something similar.
Yeah.
Right? Where each Thursday there's an event in a city where you only meet singles, right? And why are they doing this? Because they need the connection. And I feel this is what our industry, the fitness industry, can also provide the new generations with. The feeling of connection, the feeling of being part of something bigger amidst the world that's just falling apart in front of our eyes. That's what I feel when we're reading the headlines. Obviously, that's not the only thing that's happening in the world. And we're having like the fastest age of progress since the whole history of the mankind, correct? But for our reptile brains, it's super hard to grasp. So we're falling back into the options where we seek connection, we seek the foundation for our lives. And that's what's happening. And that's why people are going more into the fitness. That's why people are trying to connect in person. That's why they're trying to live the life they feel they deserve.
What have you seen, or something you've obviously had lots of conversations here? What stood out to you coming from Europe that you're probably not seeing in Europe yet?
Wow, that's a great question. I feel that things like light therapy is still absolutely not mainstream in Europe. And honestly, I have my doubts about it as well, because as soon as you have the first epilepsy case and someone just, flips out because of this impact on your senses, you got a PR problem. So the huge question mark how this is going to develop, because that can cause a medical condition. But again, I'm not a doctor, but that's just my first take. What I also think is interesting is that, remember 5 years ago, having connected equipment was something like a wow. Today, that's a must. Regardless of how you want to do this, you can work with external sensors. You can, build sensors into your own equipment, but it's kind of expected. But it also means that companies that are just offering hardware the old school way could get an edge because they're now different. Okay. So that's just my assumption. This is kind of funny that we're going all the circles in the industry. And another thing that I feel is that's absolutely high here in the United States is longevity, right? I know it's also a bit of a critical topic. And in Europe, especially in Germany, for example, everything that we're doing is like we're trying to understand what kind of scientific foundation does it have. Because lots of it is absolute like snake oil and just do this and that and red light therapy and then you live to like 200 years, perfect. Just pay the check and you're done. That's a very American approach, right? In Europe, we do have different healthcare ecosystem. Let's speak about Germany, for example. You have the public healthcare insurance. Everyone has to be insured. there's just no way you're not insured, okay? And in this case, there are also some preventative, and Europe, by the way, longevity we call prevention in Europe.
Okay.
So there are also some just things like your gym, your some kind of fitness courses, whatever, that you can get paid by your insurance. But this is like for the normal population. The high net worth individuals are all absolutely on the same lines as here in the United States. So they're willing to pay a couple of thousand euros for a health checkup, right, and see what happens next. But again, that's probably 5% maximum of the population. So where's the middle? Where's this middle that we're addressing that needs this most? I don't know.
So in Germany, though, like one of the things I always get, I didn't go to FIBO this year, but in previous years, like it's over here, it's being called longevity and wellness. But as a culture, particularly in Germany, like a lot of the treatments and even the technologies that we're seeing over here has been around for decades in Germany, and it's well, yeah, sauna is a great one. Cold plunge and some of these, even in Holland, like when I met my wife, we used to go to these basically spas where they have all different temperatures, cold plunges, and families used to go there, and it's such a common thing, and so you go there and it's just like these companies have been doing it forever, where here it's suddenly a new company that's coming out with something. So like talk a little bit about that, even though it's termed a little bit different, but how far back that goes, and how almost like that's pretty normal for your grandparents to be doing stuff the younger generation are just getting into at the moment here.
Right. Well, I mean, the social wellness is absolutely a thing in the United States and also a thing in Europe, but mostly what I've seen has been in London, honestly. That's the easiest cultural transfer that we have towards Europe. I'm not sure if this is going to work like in countries like Germany, where the culture of saunas is so widespread. The first time I went to a German sauna, I was shocked because they make you like undress completely, right? If you're dressed, if you have any kind of swim bath suit, whatever, you're not allowed to get in. It's like all are naked, men and women are mixed up, and that's normal in Germany. And you feel very uncomfortable as someone who is doing this for the first time, okay?
And in the changing rooms as well in Holland.
Right. But the question is, are people willing to pay for this if they've been doing this like for $10 for like several hours session? I'm not sure. I think
but the experience is different though, right? So the experience...
Absolutely. And this is where, exactly, that's what I think is the only chance for social wellness also to get spread in Europe. First of all, it's experience, as you said, right? It's the different packaging, it's different kind of expectations in terms of the service, right? And second, it depends on where you go. Like big cities, yes, absolutely good chance. And second, of course, the Generation Z, like the younger people that are willing to connect again in a different way. Combine this with dating, combine this with anything else, and you're in. But it's super hard to crack because Europeans are not used to paying that much for fitness as the Americans.
Are you seeing, and this really is the trends in fitness itself, is Pilates still trending? Because when I was in London, I was just in London a couple weeks ago, I'm seeing more and more Pilates studios open up. I haven't seen that really in France or Germany or Spain yet, as large as it is here. Do you think that this trend where Pilates is large in the US and now the UK and Australia is going to happen to the rest of Europe as well?
I think it's already doing this, right? And I think this trend will stick for a while. And we keep hearing that strength training is now number one, and everyone needs to grow muscle because it's good for living longer. It's good when you're, losing weight, whatever. But what I'm also seeing is that Hyrox created a category for events where we're seeing more happening now. So we know the Techno Gym has started their own Runix events which is the virtual racing. There's a new event in Germany which is called Pace Race. Pace Race, by the founder of Athletech, that used to be pre-pandemic one of the competitions out there. And this is pretty simple. That's just running in the city, and for each lap you have less time. So whoever stays wins. Right? So pretty simple, complex concept that just had their first event in Berlin with 1,000 people. And these kinds of events are going up. And again, what you mentioned before, that's about the personal connection. That's about being seen and show up yourself as a person as well.
It seems though, like I always see a lot of similarities between America and the UK. So it tends to happen here, goes to the UK. But I always saw a big sort of disconnect between the UK and Germany and Central Europe. It was almost like Central Europe did its own thing. And it was quite interesting to see that High Rocks actually went in reverse, and it went, from my perspective, it seemed to start in Germany, then it went to the UK. Now it's coming here, and it's almost like a new thing in America where it's been going. How long has it been around in Germany, would you say? Like
10 years, I guess it's
Yeah.
10 years old.
Well, 2019, I think.
Yeah, even that, the race, the sort of, what do they call it, like competition racing. We went to the UK and all the gyms are embracing it, where here it's kind of, it's not really happened in the same way.
It's starting to, though.
Yeah, it is,
In a
but
very
it's
good way.
it's unusual that it's really behind.
Yeah, because I think gyms in a lot of ways felt like they didn't have to. It's because gyms in America had it easy, right? There was limited capacity pre-pandemic. They had memberships flowing in. We had the highest penetration rate in the world. They didn't really have to try. So the gym was a commodity. They provided their services, providing equipment, not really focused on outcomes. In Europe, gyms, said, we're going to help you train for something. That's outcome based. And I think that shift is happening here, which is why they've embraced, finally, like really embraced. And I'm glad to see it, because I think having that spot on the calendar is so important, because it gives you a goal to train. Listen, not everyone gets married every year. Not everyone goes on vacation all the time. Those typically are the two reasons why you decide to get into shape at a younger age. I'm getting married, I look good for my wedding, or I'm going on vacation, right? And that's like, oh, time to get in shape. And you only, in this short training cycle, now with High Rocks, you can have those defining and definitive moments throughout the year. And I think that's powerful. Well, Natalia, it's been great to have you on. We're going to talk about your new role in a coming episode, and lots more to come on that.